During the opening stages of Operation Barbarossa, Hitler's huge invasion of the Soviet Union in summer 1941, several major tank battles were fought. One wing of the German assault pushed into the Baltic states, and it was in Lithuania that a legend of tank warfare was born, the Monster of Raseiniai. The German 4th Panzer Group came to blows 75 kilometers north of Kaunas, with a strong Red Army counterattack consisting of the 3rd and 12th Mechanized Corps. The Soviet operation between the 23rd and 27th of June 1941 was designed to push the German forces back that had crossed the Niemen River. One of the tank types deployed by the Soviets came as a complete shock to the German 6th Panzer Division. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made. Play more than 2,000 tanks, aircraft, helicopters and ships in dynamic combined arms PvP battles. As an historian, I appreciate that the vehicles in War Thunder span over 100 years of development, from the 1920s to the present day. Every vehicle is incredibly detailed and modeled, offering a highly immersive combat experience. War Thunder has incredible graphics and detail in 4K resolution to create the immersion you need. Play War Thunder now on PC, PlayStation or Xbox using the link on the screen. You receive a large, free bonus pack for registering using my personalized link, including multiple premium vehicles, premium account, boosters, and much more. The Germans hadn't rated the Red Army very highly before the invasion, and had no idea that the Soviets had developed not one, but two extremely formidable tank types that the Germans would have great difficulty in overcoming when they finally faced them in battle, the T-34 and a much heavier tank, the KV-1. At the Battle of Raseiniai, German forces would first combat the KV-1. A 45-ton monster, the KV-1 had a crew of 5 and was armed with a 76.2mm M1941 gun. And the Soviets had over 5,000 in service when the Germans invaded. The Germans soon christened the KV-1 the Russian Colossus with good reason. German tanks in 1941 consisted in the main of a mix of Panzer IIIs and IVs and Panzer 35Ts, and German armaments like the 3.7cm KWK-36 or short-barrel 7.5cm KWK-37 tank guns made absolutely no impression on the KV-1s, whose front armor was 90mm thick, with side armor of 75mm and rear plates of 70. No German tank of 1941 could expect to knock out a KV-1. And even the famous 8.8cm flak gun, often used in the anti-tank role, could sometimes struggle against these Russian monsters. When Panzer Group 4 faced KV-1s for the first time at Rasini, they couldn't stop the Soviet tanks. On the 25th of June, the surprise Soviet counterattack included the 14th Tank Corps. Firstly, the KV-1s, with their attached infantry, overwhelmed the German 6th Motorcycle Battalion and pushed on towards the city of Raseiniai. The 4th Panzer Group deployed the 14th Panzergrenadier Regiment supported by 100 tanks and 2 artillery battalions to stop the Soviets. But the KV-1s rolled on, without infantry support, the German tank shells simply bouncing off their thick armoured hides, their 76mm guns knocking out plenty of lighter German tanks. 100 German tanks could not stop 20 KV-1s. In some cases, the KV-1s simply drove over bogged-down Panzer 35Ts. A German 150mm howitzer battery engaged the KV-1s over open sights, landing shell after shell on the green beasts, but not one KV-1 was knocked out. The Soviet tanks then simply drove over the German artillery guns, flattening them. This headlong charge was only partially stopped by an 88mm flak unit using its powerful guns in the anti-tank role that managed to knock out some of the KV-1s, forcing most of the rest to withdraw to some woods. However, one KV-1 rolled on into the German rear areas, creating havoc, and it was this tank that would earn the famous moniker the Monster of Raseiniai. And please note that throughout this film I refer to the KV-1 and not to the KV-2. Many previous videos appearing on YouTube and also computer games have misidentified the Monster as a KV-2. However, the Germans were emphatic that the new kind of Soviet tank that they faced at Raseiniai was the KV-1. Colonel Erhard Oras, temporary commander of the 6th Panzer Division that had to deal with the Monster, described the tank and its behavior in detail, naming it clearly as a KV-1. The row KV-1 began by shooting up German supply convoys, blocking the main supply route, which was the only available route for supplies due to the surrounding swampy terrain, causing a major logistical headache for the 6th Panzer Division. It also meant that wounded could not be evacuated to hospital either, with many of them subsequently dying. The Germans brought up a 50mm anti-tank gun battery, and although they landed 14 direct hits on the KV-1, these had absolutely no effect, and the tank crews then carefully picked off the German anti-tank guns at a range of 500 yards. The Germans now tried to stealthily emplace an 88mm flak gun 700 yards from the tank. The Soviets saw this and held their fire until the Germans had just about finished setting up, then promptly blew the gun to pieces. Combat engineers were next dispatched under the cover of darkness, armed with demolition charges, and they crept up on the KV-1 and managed to lay a charge under one of the beast's tracks. But though successfully detonated, the track remained undamaged. The track was much larger and thicker than the Germans had anticipated. The KV-1 continued to move around at will, shooting at any targets that presented themselves. In desperation, the Germans launched a feint attack on the KV-1 to draw its fire, German tanks, some 50 in number, attacking the KV-1 from the surrounding woods on 3 sides. Whilst this was going on, another 88mm flak gun was moved into position and camouflaged to fire at the KV-1 from the rear. 12 direct hits were made, with 2 penetrations made, though the crew were not killed, merely stunned, and the KV-1 was not completely subdued. German infantry then charged the tank, which defended itself with machine guns, until some men managed to push grenades through 2 anti-tank shell holes in the rear armor, finally killing the surviving Soviet crewmen inside. The stout and prolonged defense by the KV-1's crew made a deep impression on the Germans, who had fought against them for several days, and the 5 dead Soviet soldiers were buried by the Germans with full military honors, something very unusual in the very bitter and unpleasant actions on the Eastern Front, where little quarter was asked or given. No one knows the names of the men today, the records long having been lost, but in 1965 the authorities found and recovered the remains of the crew, and they were reburied in the military cemetery in the nearby town of Rasini. Russian sources suggest that the KV-1 belonged to No. 3 Company, 1st Battalion, 4th Tank Regiment of the Soviet 2nd Tank Division. Play War Thunder now on PC, PlayStation or Xbox using the link on the screen. Remember, you receive a large, free bonus pack for registering using my personalized link, including multiple premium vehicles, premium account, boosters and much more. War Thunder, get it now! Many thanks for watching, please subscribe and share, and also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon, details in the description box below.